In the last video, something came across my mind and I wasn't making any sense. I was thinking, I was distracted. But okay, I'm gonna focus on today's good word is distribution. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good word or a bad word. It's who shapes distribution. I gotta go back and watch the rest of this. It's a talk on economics by somebody Wolf or somebody. It was just, I was thinking, and at the same time I was like, how, like, because people are going to hear distribution and they're going to think, we get some, like, that's good because, like, we get something free, but you have to be in the mindset that everything comes from somebody writing off a check. It had something to do with socialism. So I'm going to go back and see, because, like, who shapes distribution, and then you get socialism. And the reason that it's valid is because I can't say that the Russian soldiers that ended up in Ukraine that didn't know that they were on their way to Ukraine, I can't say that they got kidnapped, because their government issue. So that's just a little piece. It's just a little piece. Now think about it. The fact that if they were aware, if all those Russians were aware, they would have been calling back to home, talking to girlfriends, everybody. They wouldn't have been able to do it. So who shaped distribution? Because what was the point that Putin said, okay, this would be a good idea? If you're not allowed to do it transparently, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not allowed to overtly signal to everybody, this is what we're going to do, because you can't do it, then in some aspect, you shaped distribution. You shaped distribution. What about the internet? Because I don't know if it's just for clicks, but every now and then I see somebody that you would say is a normal cat doing something that seems like is exploitative. And guess what? I don't have to resonate with you, motherfucker, because every time you was laughing at Russian equipment getting blown up and saying kick their ass and give them you're sending a message. What are you doing? You're just taking the wing and off, you know what I mean? The debauchery, or I guess what would you call it? Like, there's an entity which is above my pay grade to point out to, right? What do you want to call oligarchs, or if they're just industry dynamos, because we do that same shit over here. So they're doing wrong, okay? And then you're going to pull a wing off the same rotisserie chicken that they're eating on. I don't like rotisserie, by the way. I like chicken. Yeah. You're just taking from the same bird and like this. You scorched your throat with the hot chicken grease. Funker, what's his name? And then he'll be like boasting that he can sing Bayraktar like you're trolling or something. Like, and he comments even in the, okay, there's another show that pops up and does the same kind of thing, except it's got a little bit more news spin. Your chat has dry humor and shit. Their dry humor, they're not getting to the higher levels. And like, they're getting an energetic reward. Like, they're getting stimulated, like a little stimulated, and that's their reward. And it's like, and it's gone. And then after that, you ain't got nothing. And the higher level's still ringing, still going on. It's still like, it's like a higher level of elation in the same sense that you can feel things that are going on that are still, you could say, there are still issues. You know, we're not outside of the issue, but we're less causing it, and you have a higher level of elation because we're not playing into it. Now, they're playing the game with the fact that, okay, so on one side is allowed to have helmet cams and cell phones, and then another side is not allowed to do it, and it's a Hegelian dialectic. They'll let the Chechens have cell phones, and then they can say, we're both filming the war. You think you're going to see what's going on, but they're trying to convince you that one side can win. And then who accepts this idea that one side comes out the winner? We do. Hey, it's us. They know they need something else from us. Probably the aristocracy schismed over the push of the modality, the not being an effort. And then what little we do have comes a problem, an issue, which would be like a grip, you know what I mean? A bullshit detector or something like that. Like a grip, a fucking grip. I'm not talking about all the wealth and fucking resources. I'm talking about a dissemination process. Because you would be like getting trolled in your feelings, or you can get tricked into that by trying to troll your perceived opposition, you know, and doing ugly shit. You know what I mean? Like, okay, laughing about it, posting videos and shit. Like, some of those soldiers are taking cell phones and calling the daughters, and they're calling the families and shit, and saying like, you have a loved one or something, or who is so your father, not anymore, hang a click or something, like fucking. I mean, that might not happen that often. I'm sure it's happened a couple times. That something like that could be used to stigmatize even further. Something like you know what I mean? Like, what is, sooner or later, they kind of fucking, like, it's like we're not with it, and they're obtuse and don't want to accept that we're not with it. And then they then it's propaganda. You know, propaganda is part of how the way they fight, the sides fight, that you have to expect. Some of it matures well, some of it doesn't mature well. Thing is, if you get caught up in that level, you cannot. Your humor is dry. Like, even my humor is dry sometimes. And then when somebody really starts cooking with gas, nobody else is laughing, and this should be really funny. Like genius level comedy, and can't nobody appreciate it. They're just like, and I mean, then that genius could be also imbalanced and irrational sometimes too, until you get onto a higher perspective. There's still always a higher perspective. It's just that the best perspective affords you the richest life. And I'm not talking about what, like, material wealth or just material wealth. It's like until a better one, and then when the better one extends itself to everyone else, then it can remold, it can reshape things if even someone who previously had a good perspective won't see the clarity afforded by the better perspective that comes along. It'll just change things again. It'll just keep things vigorous. Like, it'll just keep things like kind of reflective of the future. It'll keep things kind of reflecting the future that we're, because, you know, a lot of this it's like some things you can't expect, but you a little bit knew already. You're a little bit already understood, so it's like psychic a little bit. And yeah, that's the so let me just try to see if I want to make a prediction. Because once the war in Ukraine almost simmered down a little bit, when but then we're about to find out what it's really about, and it's going to be the reason why they occupied the Crimea in the first place. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to, because people are going to say, oh, you believe in Nephilim and shit like that. But I believe Nephilim moved in onto media, like paper, like labels of canned goods has Nephilim on it, comics, cartoons, you know what I mean, comic books, Nephilim, you know what I mean, but they're in our imagination. Like we perceived rocks that were on Ayers Rock to have been fabulous creatures from the Dreamtime, frozen in a state of stones, right? And you know, so there are certain ways that you could say that will affect the psyche, and because it's closely related to like a story of like how an architect left these humans, or receded into a retreat of slumber and to emerge later, or fucking left. And you can actualize by unplugging yourself from the architect's program, or something like this. You know what I mean? Like, these are not definitively telling you and you still might be able to see the digital imprint, you know what I mean, on ELF or something. Like, you might be able to see Wi-Fi. Like, who knows what the brain is capable of, but you know, like in some movie like this Genius Kid or something, he could see like strips of like code, like he could see like all the binary from people's phone conversations. Yeah, I mean, you have to assume that the brain is a miraculous wonder, and this is just inventions that we augment our and try to amplify our will or technology. So the way I think about it, if I had to just say, what I'm thinking. It's gonna be all the stuff that you've been warned about, the taboos and everything, but your psyche is overrun with it's overloaded with symbolism, where there was a function that it could do before that you can't right now, because a lot of the pre-Columbian archetypes of sigils in the subconscious psyche are overridden by the marketing campaign of weaving the logo into the astral plane. In all of this, like all these companies, there's like these words and things like fucking, you can't look up something because it's like now it's like all filled in with this shit, like Nexium or something. You look up Nexium, it's like ask your doctor if Nexium is right for you and shit. It's not talking about like which is Rainier and Smallville and fucking those people. You know what I mean? Like they just moved in and fucking that never happened. The fix-it guy came and you get a fucking psychotropic and another psychotropic. You don't want to feel that. We got you covered. You won't have to feel anything on behalf of those exploited women, especially if we want to be the white knight for these feminist causes and shit. You know what I mean? But they could be fucking a baby mill, and we won't ask the questions. We won't ask the questions to John of God. We won't be like, tell us where all your baby mills are. They could have just let those women starve in a mine shaft. And it's, you know, because that's fucking Oprah's friend or somebody, you know what I mean? Like, that was Oprah, like, somebody that she put in high esteem in front of everybody, like, you know, exalted to the level. We elevated to the level of John of God, you know, and they don't want to have to take down the fucking relic, you know. It's just easy. It's just easier to fucking see who has a dissemination process, gaslight it, try to set up a Confucius society through in non-governmental organizations and a focus group and corporate gang stock, you know, whatever, you know, take his land, you know, steal his land through the process of like saying it's not being managed correctly when the errors, like when all of the errors don't come into agreement with how, let's say one of them sells their land, right? And then it's like it starts it's like another schism, like, you know, a problem for an aristocracy. It's a problem for the aristocracy. There's a lot of people that don't even know that their family lineage is part of the aristocracy. If I start talking about Orinda or energies in the east moving west, and then even it's like the further you go back, the polarity shift, you know what I mean? So you'll start recognizing things as being from somewhere else that started here. And then if you let them take you out of character by gaslighting your thought process, then you'll take petty chicken shit avenues to hold that out over your brothers and sisters, over other people in your. So we gotta become on that level, or we have to be keen about people who are just paper, because you don't know what they'll do to maintain their good looks on paper. Anything that is legal to get rid of you. Anything they'll do, anything. It's lawfare, lawfare. Because they can't, you know, because that would be not a nice thing. You know what I mean?